All right, welcome back to another movie review. Today we are talking about another Bruce Lee movie. We're doing The Big Boss.
The Big Boss, which came out as, was it Fists of Fury is what it came out as?
I was a bit confused because I saw that that's what it was also, but then Fist of Fury is on IMDb is also a different one.
So I think, and this is the extra confusing part. So I gotta look up his filmography real quick in front of me here. But I think there was the Chinese Connection, and then they came out with what got called the Big Boss, but it was called King of Fury, Fists of Fury. And then they came out with Fists of Fury in the States, and they had to rename the Big Boss because they were doing an American release. So let's just drop into a little history lesson, I guess. Um, here's how I think it happened is so Bruce Lee was a big guy in Hong Kong, and then he comes over to the States and he tries to develop some shows and some um, movies in the States, but that doesn't really work out because he had the Green Hornet and that like failed. And then his whole thing is like, you remember the show Kung Fu?
Yep.
Yeah, his whole thing was like they stole Kung Fu from him. He was like, I went to Warner Brothers with this idea for a show, and like I was like, let me star in it and we'll do it. And they were like, no, we're gonna pass. And then suddenly David Carradine is in a show called Kung Fu.
Yeah.
So, which is very similar to what he pitched. So he's all pissed off. And then weirdly enough, I was reading, so he was going to make a movie with James Coburn, and they went to India to do some production scouting and they were like, it's not going to work. And then James Coburn was the guy who was like, you should try making movies in Hong Kong. And so then, because like Hong Kong's movie scene then was starting to blow up. So then he goes over to Hong Kong to try and make a movie. And he tried to do it with the Shaw brothers. And the Shaw brothers didn't really want to make. I think they were offering him too little money. So then he went with Raymond Chow, who was the Golden Harvest guy. And Raymond Chow was like, we can actually pay you a little more. So then they made The Big Boss, which turned out to be a big hit, and it was released in Hong Kong as Fists of Fury. But then when they were like, oh shit, this thing is blowing up all over the world, we need to make another movie called Fists of Fury to capitalize on what everybody's hearing about, and we'll just rename the Big Boss the Fist of Fury to the Big Boss, release that in America. We get a two for one essentially.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because that's confusing. Because like
It's
on
so
Google, it's like
confusing.
it's called Fist of Fury, but then I read about Fist of Fury, and it's like it's about they battle a Japanese dojo. And it's like, what? That's not this movie. That's a different one.
No,
And it's like, okay, so there's like two movies with the same name and different. Yeah, it's confusing.
it's so confusing. When I first like started looking up, I was like, "What is going on? Why? I've seen this movie, but then this one is in Thailand." Oh,
Yeah.
right, here we go. So the Fist of Fury was released. See, this is how confusing it gets. The Fist of Fury was also released as the Chinese Connection
Oh,
because
so that's three
they have
different titles.
there's two titles for two different movies. So the Big Boss is known as the Big Boss or Fist of Fury. Um, and then Fist of Fury is Fist of Fury or Chinese Connection. I guess I don't know why they would have done it this way. I
Yeah,
don't know why
that's
they just
I was
didn't release.
even when I was like a teenager, I was confused because I would like be like, "Oh, there's another Bruce Lee movie I haven't seen," and I'd be like, "No, that's the same one I
I've
already
seen
saw."
this one.
Yeah, I kind of just go by the plot. There's the one with like the Chinese versus Japanese dojo. There's the
Yep,
one at his uncle's restaurant. There's the
this
big
one
boss.
is in
This one we're
Thailand.
talking about, which is at the ice factory, and then Enter the Dragons like its own thing.
Do you know what I found out why this movie was shot in Thailand of all places?
Hmm.
So I guess it's so petty and funny, but I guess the Shaw brothers were making a Muay Thai movie in Thailand, and so when Golden Harvest was planning this movie, they're like, we're going to Thailand too, and we're gonna put out a Thai movie, and we're gonna compete directly with them.
Yeah, that's pretty petty. Anyways, let's
So
jump into this one.
let us jump
Let's
into
not
it.
confuse people any further. So what do
Um,
you think?
hmm, it was good, but not. The plot was a little weird at points.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
not
like it.
weird, but
Not say I liked it,
simplistic.
but
Yeah, like I didn't mind it, and the action sequences were really good. Yeah, I guess I'm just used to more of a plot, but I mean, I also watched a dub version, so maybe like there's subtleties lost in the thing. But so far with the plot that I got was so Bruce Lee shows up, and he's working at this new factory, right? And he's got James Tien there working with him, and then workers from the factory are disappearing, and everybody's like, "What's happening to our workers?" And then Bruce Lee is like, "I'll find out." And then they're like, the bosses are like, "He's too he's too dangerous. We need to make him a foreman." So then they make him a foreman, and then he gets like super drunk and like sleeps with a lady, and this other lady sees him, and she's like, "How could you abandon us?" And then everybody's like, "He got drunk, and he's not looking for our lost friends." Did drug dealing come into this?
Yeah, they were the company that were it was like an ice factory where they make
Yeah,
blocks of
she's like,
ice.
"Have you ever seen an ice factory make so much money? Look at how he's living."
Yeah, but they're smuggling drugs inside these blocks of ice, which is kind of weird.
Right.
Seems like you
And
can
then there
see
was
them, but
dead bodies in the ice too, right?
yeah, they would kill people and put them in the ice. Yeah, the plot was like it was good enough for a Bruce Lee movie, but
It
it
was.
just seems like
That's the main thing.
it seems like there was a lot of rewriting and it seemed like they kind of just changed the idea of the movie, like because they just kept like at first it was about this new guy in town who started working for this factory. And
Right.
then later on, all of a sudden, now it's just kind of like a different movie, and things didn't make sense. Like it's like yeah, they don't want Bruce Lee to rat them out, so they promote him to foreman, but he's only been working there since
That
like the
makes
day
sense.
before. So like,
Yeah.
and like
Well, I
all
guess
the
it kind
workers
of
are
makes sense.
cheering him. All the workers are cheering him. It's like, aren't they mad that they've been there for like 15 years, and the guy that worked there since yesterday is
Is
promoted
now
ahead
the
of them?
foreman. I guess they're all like, he's the tough guy, and he's gonna say it's like,
But he wasn't the tough guy then. He didn't even fight till 45 minutes in the movie. That was the whole
oh,
point.
you're
Is like
right.
he's
You're
like,
right.
yeah, he wears this thing around his neck because he promised his
The
mom that he
jade
would never
thing,
fight
yeah.
again. So
And then when they break it, that's when he's like, oh.
yeah, then he just goes ape shit. And I don't watch a Bruce Lee movie to see him not fight. Like there's lots of other guys fighting. But like there'd be these brawls going on, and then Bruce Lee would just be like standing there leaning against a post, just like watching it because he refuses to fight. So that
Do you
was
know
kind
what's
of a letdown. It's like, man, this is such a good fight. Like you could be involved in this. But when
do
he
you know what's
starts
funny?
fighting, then the movie gets really good towards the end when he's just like kicking ass Bruce Lee style.
Do you know what's funny is like, so you were saying you don't watch a Bruce Lee movie to see him not fight. I don't think anybody intentionally, like when this movie first came out, James Tien, his friend, that was the big star in Hong Kong. Nobody knew who the fuck this Bruce Lee guy was. And
Oh,
so
okay. I guess
they
that
were
would make
giving
sense
James,
because yeah, because that guy was the main fighter for like the first
yep,
half. Like
and they gave him like his big dramatic like thing. But then when the movie came out, everybody loved Bruce Lee, and so they were like, "Oh shit, we got to get on this Bruce Lee train."
that could explain it because it did seem like the other guy was the main
The
character for
main
the first
character.
half, and then all of a sudden he just gets killed halfway through. Bruce Lee becomes the main character.
Wow, you know what? You're probably right about it being like heavily rewritten. Can you imagine being an actor? Maybe James Tien also saw it, but can you imagine being an actor and you're acting in this role and then like suddenly the director's like, we're gonna go with this guy instead. Like halfway through the movie,
Yeah. It's like, well, how do we make the story work? Yeah, we'll just have you get
we'll
killed, and then
figure it
the other
out.
guy will get promoted to foreman, and
I'll be honest with you, it's not really that important. It'll be
yeah.
fine.
And I just found like, although like the movie, I found it all enjoyable, but it kind of like it started off, which is funny because even the parts where Bruce Lee wasn't fighting, that felt like the tightest writing. As soon
Hmm.
as the second half hit, it kind of lost momentum, and then it's like, then they had a subplot like the big boss. Like there was a
Yep.
different boss. There was like the head guy at
There was
the
the guy with the
top.
mustache
But then there was like another, I thought he was the big boss at first, but no, then there's another head
because
boss
they
who's
kept
actually the
calling
big
him
boss.
boss, and then he was like, "Yeah, I got to talk to the big boss."
But then that guy, he had like a son, the son that was doing stuff, but that, it seemed like the son was going to be kind of a main character, but it just kind of went nowhere. He didn't really do anything. There was a lot of stuff like that where it just seemed like they were just making the story up as they went along.
As they
And
were going along, you were probably like right on the money, which is like they were probably like rewriting it as they were like filming it for whatever reason, but they're probably like, we need to rewrite this entire thing now.
they just had like they had a ton of reasons for and it's one of those things like in those martial arts movies we've seen it before where Bruce Lee, he arrives in town on a boat and meets his family and within like a minute of walking into town they just get accosted by a bunch of tough guys who want to bullies that want to pick fights with him. Of course, Bruce Lee doesn't fight, so his friend does all the fighting.
Yep.
But it just seems like there was always a reason. They'd go to this like gambling den, and then just like
Oh,
six
yeah.
guys would pick a fight with them, so they kick their ass. And then no matter where they go, there's always some guys there to just start a fight with them for virtually no reason.
Yeah, it's a special movie. Like the plot, like I said, it was a little. Now that we've talked about it a little bit, it makes more sense. But it got way looser towards the end, and like I kind of started to check out the first time I watched it, and then I saw the bodies in the blocks of ice, and I was like, hold on, I've missed something. And then I had to go back and rewatch the thing again to like be like, oh, they're killing them and they're like, doing drugs, but like. Yeah, the fight sequences were good as heck though, man. Like
Yeah, they were great. It does make you wonder though, like what kind of workplace is this that like there's constant brawls with like 40 guys fighting each other, like.
always just getting into fights and always like busting into each other. It's like, what's going on,
But not
guys?
really, there's like a big fight breaks out between like the management and the workers, and then a bus arrives with like the management with even more like reinforcements to join this fight. And even that part where Bruce Lee accidentally breaks that block of ice, and then that guy just comes up and like punches him across the face. Like this doesn't seem like a healthy work environment. I think they gotta talk to HR or something. It seems like a
You gotta talk to the big boss.
you gotta
And
talk to
he's just
the
like putting you in the ice.
But yeah, the fights were good. It's just you couldn't help, especially when like the main like there's like a big fight right in the middle with like so like dozens of guys involved, and it was very well staged. But
It
like
was,
Bruce
I
Lee
was
is
gonna,
literally just standing there like rubbing his
ah,
charm just because he refuses to fight, and it's like, come on, man. But then finally he like it gets ripped, and then he gets punched, and then he just like starts yelling, and then just goes crazy. Then it's like, okay, this is good. And the fights are surprisingly violent. Like even in Enter the Dragon, he's not like flat out hacking guys to death. Here he's like throwing
yeah,
axes
this
to their faces and
well again, I know I keep going back to the bodies in the ice, but that was also like out there. At one point I was like, was this released as a horror movie or something?
yeah, there's
Like,
a couple parts that were yeah, it got pretty bloody at points with
yeah.
like guys just getting stabbed and throats slashed, and there was a lot more of that. Like Bruce Lee's known for punching and kicking, like martial arts. He's not known for like throwing knives, but here he's like using a saw, he's using an
Using
axe,
weapons, yeah.
which is like it's I don't have a problem with it. It was still cool, but it was like I'm not used to seeing him that level of violence. He's usually just more of a martial artist.
Apparently, this whole production, I just had to look it up now. It took 10, 12 weeks.
Yeah, I can see like those some of those fight scenes. Those would have taken a lot
Oh
of
man,
rehearsals.
that would have been like just days and days of just the same fight scene over and over
Yeah.
again. We gotta get from this angle. Tomorrow we'll get it from that angle. Next day we'll get it from
Well, there's just
whatever.
like so many people involved in the fight that like if two guys fighting and they blow it somehow, then it's like you have to redo the whole thing. So I bet you they just rehearse probably like Jackie Chan movie style where they just rehearse like the shot for a whole week and then like got that shot and like they just
Well, I was thinking about it. I mean, it's basically. I was chatting about this with somebody else. Like, it's basically dance choreography.
yeah, it's similar.
You gotta learn all these steps, and you gotta make sure that you're like in sync your steps with the next person's steps, and you just gotta like, yeah. Oh man. And I think this was like Bruce Lee was like like the guy who probably choreographed all the fights because like he would be the guy that choreographed all the fights in his future movies, right?
Yeah, he even I don't think he directed this one, but he did direct like at least one of his movies or some of them.
Yeah.
So yeah, I bet you he had a big hand in it, I'm sure. And they were good. Like even the fights at the bit when they go to the big boss's mansion. And there's parts with like he's fighting dogs, and it's like it's just so ridiculous.
That first fight in the when he first decides to fight after they break his necklace, did it make you think of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood at all?
Oh yeah, yeah, I definitely, yeah, absolutely. Like,
I wonder if they kind of like because it's set up similarly. I might have to go watch both movies again, but it's kind of set up similarly where there's people in a circle and like Bruce Lee's standing on one end and he's like, I don't fight. And then like the other guy, like I might have to rewatch it, but I
yeah,
wonder if they like were directly trying to rhyme it with
I,
that.
I wouldn't be surprised. But that being circled thing, it seems like because obviously Bruce Lee likes to do those spin kicks, which works
Yep.
well if he's surrounded by guys because he could be spinning around.
Yeah, just like
It just
ha.
seems that like if you're actually getting attacked by people, being surrounded is the worst possible thing to happen. It
I
seems like
always
he
think that.
actively wants, he'll run away just so he can be surrounded by them.
Well, because in real life, you're nobody's coming at you one on one. They'll all just like dogpile you, and then like, yeah. I always think about that when I see people in a circle, and like everybody's kind of quietly being like, "Soon it'll be my turn to fight, and then I'll try him."
It's just, but yeah, it just seems weird that like he'll be in some kind of building and then like facing off with the guys, but then he'll run outside into an open area so that they circle around him. And there's one part he even like beats the shit out of some of them, runs away, and then like stops so they circle him again, and then he continues beating them up. It just seems like it's a strategy that only Bruce Lee would use.
That's fair. That was probably him doing choreography and being like, "All right, we need to make this simple. Every time you guys just circle me, and then I'll just whip your asses, and then we'll go and you circle me again. I'll just whip your asses again."
Which does like he just loves doing those kicks, so it does look cool.
I mean,
Um,
it's even in the poster, right? The poster is like him doing the big kick, and like it's like the big boss. He loves those kicks. Didn't he
yeah,
end the Fist of Fury, or he ended one of his movies like kicking right directly into the camera? Didn't he? Was it Fist of Fury
I can't remember.
or The Way of the Dragon? I think it was The Way of the Dragon, where like everything's happened, it's all done, and then more bad guys like stream into the thing, and Bruce Lee looks and he kind of smiles and he's like, ah, and then he like jumps at the camera in like a flying kick, and that's where it ends.
Yeah, and people kind of forget sometimes that like now we've seen like hundreds of martial arts movies, but back at that time, early 70s, over in America, like that was a new thing. So when people saw a Bruce Lee movie, they were like, "Holy shit, this is not something they're familiar with just
Oh
crazy
man,
martial
yeah.
arts." So just seeing these guys just like kicking each other in these like massive fights.
Well, and
Um,
Sonny Chiba was big at this time too. Like oh yeah, this was around the time when like the martial arts thing was starting to just get huge in the States.
yeah, because it was like novel and fresh and cool. Like they have that I don't know how to explain it, but they have that vibe I like where it's just like the cheesy music. They have like the cheesy zoom in shots, like all that stuff that make it this kind of movie. But I love that kind of filmmaking. So even if the story itself is a bit shaky, just the
Well,
fact that everything about it is cool, it's like it makes the movie enjoyable.
it's just intentionally being cool in the 70s, which like maybe is
Yeah,
a little cheesy, but like it still reads as cool. I agree with you. It's one
like
of those things where like
they're not trying to be like professional. They're not trying to be like the great artistes.
no, no,
They're
no.
just like let's just make something that's totally kick-ass and we'll break the rules if we have to. If we have to have some bad editing, that's fine as long as it just looks cool.
As
Um,
long as it looks and feels cool. That's kind of why I don't know, maybe I'm just hypothesizing now, but like that is maybe why a lot of those Italian horror movies like in the 70s used like the funk music instead of like tubular bells for every like
yeah,
horror movie in the States. They were like, let's get some funk and some jazz in here because we're trying to make a cool movie.
yeah, it's like it's like a punk rock attitude, but not necessarily
Yeah.
punk rock music, but they're just kind of like yeah, they're just going for cool. It's the same as like the like the black exploitation films of the 70s. Like they
Yeah.
have that same vibe. They're just not martial arts, but that's why I like those. They just have like kick-ass music. Everything's done so roughly. They're just like we're the working man's movie. Like we don't have millions of
We're just trying
dollars.
to
We're
get
just
a movie done and out and like into the theater so we can start working on the next one.
yeah, and it's like, but there's something about it. It's like made from the heart, where it's like Hollywood's kind of like, like it's it's different, right? You can just tell
Things
that these were just made of like you can see why these have like a dedicated like hardcore fan base.
Yeah,
It's
things are
just
different now where like it's a movie is made already ready to be sold, like ready to be pre-sold, like it's workshop to hell and it's like we got to hit every quadrant. We got to hit like I forget the four quadrants, but like we got to hit every like demographic that we can. Whereas these kinds of movies were like we don't give a shit about the other three demographics. We're trying to hit one and we're really going to hit that one.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And I think more movie, and I understand that like especially when you're spending tons of money on a movie, you want to
You
get
want to
a
make your
return on
profit
it,
back. I get it, but like
but yeah, something's lost, and that's why like Hollywood movies these days kind of suck. Like
Yeah.
it's
I mean,
something's
even
lost. Like
then,
it's made by a movie's always be made by a business, but it used to be they like Bruce Lee was more of an artist. He was a creative person. Now it's like they're made by a business that hires a creative person and then tells them what to do. It's
well, I think the
something's
best
changed.
example is a Bruce Lee legacy film, The Crow with Brandon Lee,
Yeah,
and like the Crow remake that came out with one of the Skarsgårds.
yeah,
Two very distinct movies. One that was made like to be cool and like be like the comic book, and the other one was made to sell tickets, and it did not.
it did not. Yeah, and like The Crow, yeah, don't even get me started. The Crow is one of my favorite movies. Like I
Oh,
love
it's
that
so
movie.
good.
The remake, like I
Do you
could
like
start
the
an entire
sequel?
podcast that would go on for a decade of me ripping on how shitty that movie is.
Do you like the sequels at all?
The second one, City of Angels, was kind of okay, and then after
Okay.
that, they were bad. That
I kind
part
of have a
four is
special
downright.
soft spot for the fifth one. I think it is the one with the eyes.
The fifth, there's only four.
Maybe it's the fourth one. I'll look it up. Which one had Tara Reid in it? Wicked Prayer. It was the fourth installment.
But yeah, Wicked Prayer. Okay, that was I got mixed up between those actors. Yeah, the fourth one. Yeah, I granted I only saw it once and I hated it like with every fiber of my being. But
Did you play the video game? I know we're on a little bit of a tangent, but like I love talking about The Crow. Did you ever
I
play the video game?
didn't know there was a video game. What system was it
Um,
for?
I think it was for PS1. Let me look this up.
Weird. I didn't even know it existed.
The Crow City of Angels, for Sega Saturn, PS1, and Windows.
Huh.
Yeah, I guess you got some weekend plans, buddy.
Yeah.
It's based on your favorite one.
Damn,
Or I
that's
guess
good.
not your favorite one, but like you like the City of Angels. You showed the game.
Yeah, it
Huh.
was it was okay. I actually saw
I might-
the first one. I guess it was was it? Yeah, this past summer was they played it at the Garneau, and I'd never
Oh,
seen
did
it in the
they?
theater, so I was like, "Fucking A!" So I went down there and
Nice.
got to see it in the theater for the first time. But I just remember looking back, like just how revolutionary it was when it came out. I was
And
a teenager, and my
the
friends and I saw it.
soundtrack is top tier.
Oh, best soundtrack probably ever. To this day, I listen to it like
Oh
every
yeah.
week, probably like ever since it came out. It's
Where else do you hear Nine Inch Nails covering a Joy Division song?
yeah,
Like that's the mark of a top tier soundtrack.
and they have yeah, like they have just all that era of like kind of gritty. I don't know, like not quite
Like
underground
post-punk
bands, but
industrial kind of like
like
sound.
Rage Against the Machine, Henry
Yep.
Rollins, The Cure. But they all had like I'm pretty sure they were all original songs.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
you're right. They all wrote them for the movie.
yeah,
I'm looking at the soundtrack right now just to see what was on here. Yeah, The Cure. What did they write Burn? Did The Cure write Burn for?
pretty sure.
Nice.
Because
Stone
they,
Temple
they they even say
Pilots.
like they mentioned the crow in the song in the lyrics. So
Right. Oh man. Oh, I didn't know. I must have missed this all the whole time. So Rollins band covered Ghost Rider, which is a Suicide song. Um, well, now we're just talking about The Crow, but like good legacy of movies. Brandon Lee is good, and Bruce Lee is also pretty good.
yeah, it's and I think it just adds to it. I mean, it's tragic they both died like pretty young.
Yeah.
And it's also I don't think the fact that Brandon Lee died made like the movie would have been good either way, but it was just
Oh,
an
yeah,
added thing that
absolutely.
like guy died making it, so it kind of
It
made it
just
more
hyped it up
original.
a little bit more.
But it just shows like they and I like because Brandon Lee made like Rapid Fire and Showdown Little Tokyo. He did like Laser Mission, which is more action,
Laser
but
Mission.
I
Yep.
think he was trying to be a martial artist because he was. But The Crow, it had like a tiny bit of like martial arts kind of stuff, but for the most part, it was not even close
It
to a
was a
martial arts
movie.
movie.
Yeah, it
So
was a
he was
movie. They
trying to
had like
lead him.
a
Go
little
ahead.
bit of gymnastic stuff. He had to jump around and do like a little bit of like parkour almost, but like yeah, most of it was performances.
Yeah. So I think he was trying to get away from just being another martial artist and doing actual like more expansive roles. And then, he got shot and killed, and then that was the end of his career. So it was tragic. But it just showed
Really
that
tragic.
because I don't think Bruce Lee would have ever gone beyond being a martial artist. He wouldn't have taken unless he got to the point where he was so old that he couldn't do it anymore, and he would have done, just speaking roles. But
I think he would have transitioned to being a director. I think
Yeah,
that's what he
that
was
too.
trying to do because he kept trying to like start up shows and he kept trying to pitch shows and sell shows. I'm sure he wanted to be an actor, but like, yeah, I feel like he was trying to be like, no, I can make movies too, man.
Yeah, I think he was. Yeah, he was probably just a creative guy. He probably wanted just to control his own destiny rather than just being hired to do other stuff. He's like, I want to make up my own
Yeah.
story, do it my way, and be the star of the movie. So you can't really blame him for that. He had definitely had
I mean,
ambition.
that's kind of what how they make it look in the biopic of him. I think it was also called The Way of the Dragon. Yeah.
Something the Bruce Lee story. Was it just
Yes.
Dragon, the Bruce Lee
Dragon, the
story?
Bruce Lee story, because
Yeah,
that was his nickname, right? Dragon.
yeah, yeah. That's actually a really good movie. And actually,
Is
they
it?
like the big boss. There's a scene in the biopic that happened in real life because apparently Bruce Lee fought in some sort of like tournament and he
Uh-huh.
beat some guy and like hurt him. And then that guy's brother came to the set of the big boss for revenge and tried to pick a fight with Bruce Lee, and then Bruce Lee beat the shit out of him too, like
I
on the
wonder if
set.
it was James Tien. I really do now wonder how much of that Once Upon a Time in Hollywood scene is based in like truth or fact or whatever.
Yeah, who knows? There's so much about Bruce Lee that just became like a legend, and then all these
Legend, yeah.
rumors that he was like invincible, and then and yeah, I doubt a lot of it. Like he was just some guy who wasn't particularly big. And he was more of an actor than he was a real fighter, so I don't think he was that tough. But um
I'm gonna have to, maybe that'll be our next film. I've never actually seen Dragon, the Bruce Lee story in full.
yeah, I remember like when I first got into Bruce Lee when like all my in high school all my friends were into Bruce Lee, so I watched all the movies a few times and I probably watched the
Yeah,
biopic more than I watched any of the movies. Because
that makes sense.
it's actually like a really good movie. Um,
Well, it's kind of like all the Bruce Lee movies in one.
yeah, yeah, they touch on all of them, but then it has like his history and it does have fighting too, right? Like it's not just him fighting in the movies. Like he actually fights in the movie because people would pick on him and stuff like that, and then you get to see his frustration with just trying to get projects
Just,
going, but he just gets screwed over all the time. And yeah, it's you definitely should check it out if people
huh.
haven't already.
Well, what would you rate this guy? Where does this guy fall in your?
I give it a 6.5.
You know what? I was gonna say that too. I was gonna say like a 6 or 7.
Yeah,
Because like it's good. It keeps your attention. I definitely didn't like when I realized I'd like dropped out. I was like, wait a minute, no, I gotta go back and like figure this out because I didn't want to just like be like, well, I watched this movie, so like it makes me care about the characters.
yeah, it has its drawbacks with the story being not quite flowing all the time. But yeah,
But
if
like I
you
said, I think that's also part of like us watching it in English when it was originally filmed in Chinese.
it could be I prefer a dub. I don't care what anyone says. Like
No,
I
that's
like
totally
that.
fair. I just
Mhm.
wonder if we were fluent Mandarin speakers, would we take away a little bit more from the plot?
I I don't think so. Like
No?
I think that the story problems don't come from just the dialogue. It just comes
Fair
from
enough.
stuff happening. So you could just tell that like you could tell from their actions what the story is. So I think it's just that's just the way they did it. But it's made up for just like the competence of the awesome fight scenes and just
Yes.
and even the other things that happen. Even just the guys like gambling, their friends gambling and losing all his money, and then he like crushes the dice, and he's like, "Look, there's a weight in it, like they're cheating."
Yep.
Like there's just so many little moments, and even the parts where he's like with the that woman who's like a prostitute or whatever. There's things like that that are just like they don't really need to be in the movie, but they just kind of make
They
it
add to
cool.
it. Yeah, they like move the plot along a little bit, but they mostly add to it. I agree.
Yeah, and even just like him getting drunk with the bad guys or whatever, and it's like, yeah, it's cheesy and it's like that's what a Bruce Lee movie is. It's like if even with Enter the Dragon, which was probably the most like tight script professional one, even that wasn't didn't make complete sense. But it's like you don't
No.
want it to because otherwise it wouldn't be a Bruce Lee movie. It has to be
Well,
a
then you don't
very
have like if it makes complete sense, nobody's getting into a fight.
yeah, that too. And also, this is another instance of like, okay, these guys are like big drug dealers, like, and none of them have a gun. Like, there's not one gun. But if there
I
was
know,
guns,
right?
it'd be a
They're
different
all
movie, it'd be
fist
an action
fighting.
movie. So it's like, okay, they can only use martial arts and knives. It's
Well,
like,
it's hard because Thailand didn't get invent guns until 1984.
yeah, but it's like, yeah, I don't. I don't like it when they mix guns in the martial arts movies. It's like keep those things separate. Martial arts movies and action movies, and it's like even I can suspend my disbelief just for the sake of having all the martial arts scenes.
That's fair. I would also do that. Yeah, I'm willing to believe that this is how people solve their differences if the fight scenes are cool, and the fight scenes were
Yeah.
definitely cool.
They're willing these mega drug dealers. They're willing to sacrifice their whole operation just to only have the honor of fighting with
Just
fists.
to have like whip this one guy's
Yeah.
ass.
They could just shoot him and get the whole thing over with, but nope, they'll yeah, it's but that's what makes the movies great. So
Well, definitely check out The Big Boss. I would say it's a 7. Brandon's on a 6.5, so at the very least, you should think it's a 6. I don't know how that
good.
math works, but that's how it works.
All right. Bye for now.
Take it easy.